What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And I'm doing a TV review today of Pulse. It's on Netflix. It's actually been on Netflix for a little bit. It's taken me a while to get here. And it's because the series is not good. And nobody in their right mind would want to binge this. So it has audio description done by Post House. So if you're looking for that, great. Click like and subscribe, because like I said, I'm a blind film critic. For my blind audience out there, I've got a purple hat, black sunglasses. I don't know what t-shirt I'm wearing. That's half the reason I don't describe myself all the time, is because I was explaining to a friend that for the videos and stuff, that every time I buy a t-shirt, I always buy graphic tees of things that I'm interested in. So that way when I'm sitting in these videos, I always know, that at least I'm repping something of pop culture that represents a part of me. But I'm not always sure which one it is when I put it on. I'm feeling it. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Sometimes the phone apps read things. Sometimes the graphic is too weird for it to understand what the shirt is. So, I don't know. Pulse is a medical drama starring Willa Fitzgerald, Colin Waddell, Justina Machado, Justin T. Usher. I don't know why. He's still in The Boys. And I guess he filmed this thinking The Boys is in its final season. He needed another show. We've got Nestor Carbonell. It's actually got a decent ensemble for a show. When I was watching this, I didn't realize who was in it. And I checked the cast like a couple episodes in. I was like, what the? I just assumed they were a whole bunch of like nobodies. It's just not a good series. I mean, its whole premise is weird. It's just sort of oddly placed together. So it's the catch of the series is gone by the way, by the time you get in later into the series. So it starts off the series with I don't even know where they would go for like season 2, or I guess they're like, well, we gave you characters, right? So watch them do more things. So the hook at the beginning is that it's a hospital in Miami that, they're in the middle of a storm outside, but there's also a storm inside the hospital. Oh no. There's a storm brewing both in and outside the hospital. As Danny, played by Fitzgerald, who's the lead character of the series. I shouldn't be laughing because these are serious topics, but this show does not approach it in a serious way. I have to say, I didn't finish the series, but I made it to the point where she gives up. And I was like, why are we here? No, the storm is not the entire series. There's not like a perpetual storm outside. It's not like shot in real time where it's like the first hour, the second hour, the third hour, anything like that. Eventually the storm will go away. It's there for the first couple episodes. There's like a storm, and then they're trying to figure out, and so basically she's not in charge. Danny is not in charge, and this other guy is. But at the beginning, we find out that Dr. Phillips, who's Colin's character, he's being removed, pending an investigation that somebody lobbed against him for sexual misconduct. Oof. So it's one of those shows. It's a Me Too show. Except as you go on in the series, you're going to find out that the allegation that was raised by Danny, who was dating him, they were together as a couple. So he's kind of perplexed by everything. And because the series doesn't really resolve anything up front, you kind of have to go with that information and see them in flashbacks, and they're like having sex in the shower, and they're kind of meeting together as a couple, and they have like these cute dates. Every time it goes into the flashback, by the way, it has this weird sound effect that either sounds like a woman orgasming or somebody drowning. It's just like, like, and you're just like, what is that? I don't know. What are the choices? What choices are we making here? And then it flashes back. The characters have weird histories. She also, in addition to Danny, they've tried to make her super complex. So she also has a sister who's in a wheelchair and who's also a doctor. And I think because that's mentioned at least at one point, her character is not, she seems to be there always to depress Danny, like to remind Danny of the mistakes that she's made in the past. So there was a scene, Danny talks about how they were fighting as a kid, and she pushed her sister down the stairs and like pushed her too hard, and she actually, instead of like tumbling down the stairs, like flew off the stairs, just like down and hit the bottom. Like didn't really hit the stairs, just kind of like all the way down. So I guess she's been in a wheelchair. So and it's Danny's like, well, that's why I became a doctor. And her sister's there constantly to remind her. And there's always this like feeling of like sadness and depression coming out of Danny, and even the audio description track always like tracks Danny's uh like facial reactions to things, where she always like seems like oh my god, my sister's disabled. Oh, fuck, I did that. Like it seems like that in every scene. Like they can't ever be happy. Like time, there has never been enough time that passed. It's like, yeah, you caused that, but at the same time, your sister seems to be pretty chill. I mean, like the sister never is just, she doesn't have like this moody sister that's like, you fucked up my life. I hate you, go away. So it's not that kind of relationship. She actually has a pretty decent relationship with her sister, but she just has to walk around all the time with this cloud over her head. And she also has a cloud over her head because the focus is on her, and she ends up being in charge because they remove the person in charge and they put her in charge, which is, I think, kind of odd and just a weird choice. Like, well, we're going to suspend him. We're going to put the person who accused him in charge in the meantime while we're trying to do the investigation and figure out, like, would that happen? In real life, would the, like, or would they be like, well, temporarily we're going to put someone in this position, but we probably shouldn't be picking sides in the middle of an investigation and elevating the other person to the other person's job temporarily for the time being, which feels like a weird choice to make. um I don't know why Justina Machado, who seems to be in a higher level position anyway, is not just running the show. She's an excellent actress, and she's on like boss level throughout the whole show. She has a side plot where she's given, where her daughter comes in an accident, and she has to deal with that. It's kind of a spoiler if you get to like episode 3 or 4, whenever that happens. But then like that's there for like the remainder of the season, and the daughter is around, and they're dealing with life choices. I just didn't think the series was good. I didn't think the ensemble was well developed, and I think the choices that they made were hard to ask people. You know, I say this in my reviews. There's a problem that we have with streaming, and it's not what you think it is. A lot of people are lamenting like the streaming problems. The streaming problems are that we don't have pilot seasons. So shows are given like series orders based on cast or creators, or it's an adaptation of something and they absolutely want to show to make, which is like Netflix years ago bought Redwall, and I don't know what's happening with that. Like conceptually, if you're going to go out and buy Redwall, how has there not been a Redwall anything at Netflix at this point? Baffling, just baffling to me. But I think the Scooby-Doo show is going to move faster than Redwall. But uh, Pulse, I don't know where it came from. Pulse feels like the kind of show that gets created and then never gets picked up by a network. It feels like a forgettable medical drama. There were other medical dramas that have come and gone that were better, but still are kind of a memorable. Like CBS had Code Black with Marcia Gay Harden. There was Mercy with Taylor Schilling that I sort of remember, that were just these like, they were like okay medical dramas. They weren't like game changers by any strength of imagination. And we've had so many. Like this season, we had Doc, which I just thought was, and Zachary Quinto show, which I can't even remember what it was called off the top of my head, because was it Brilliant Minds or something like that? I don't know. The last time I ever felt like there was a cast and an ensemble that gelled with a premise that made sense was New Amsterdam. Um, I did watch a significant amount of Grey's Anatomy until it just became too much, and it was like, why are you still going? And too many of the original casts were gone, and then they tried to get like a second Grey out of not Lexi, but like the other Grey. They were like, oh well, we let Lexi go, so I guess we need to figure out a way how to rope in another Grey. So, um, yeah, I need my medical dramas to have personality and hook and acting, and I just feel like that's been lacking from a lot of these shows. And I watched The Good Doctor. I thought that had obviously like an interesting hook, and it delivered on the premise by having some strong performances. And once you get through those strong performances, they really did flesh out the ensemble around them. So I stayed with The Good Doctor. This never really happens here. It's always just, it seems like it's really interested in not telling you the thing and making and stretching that over the course of the season. But it does such a poor job of making you feel like she's ever made the right choice. It always makes it seem like Danny is always second guessing herself about having ever made a complaint. And then, spoiler alert, she withdraws it. And then I just stop watching. But I don't know how the series ends. And I really don't. You can't, it's hard to sell somebody on having an open relationship and then saying, well, I was sexually harassed by my boss. There's a thing that they throw in there where she's up for a promotion, but her boyfriend, who is, it's a power dynamic, and I think that's what they're going to go into, is that he was she's technically a subordinate, but I mean, they date for months. There's one episode where they celebrate their 5-month anniversary. I mean, they're together for a while, and she doesn't ever seem bothered by the power dynamic, and it doesn't really seem to ever be a problem in the flashbacks. So it's not something they really explore. It's like I'm saying, it's just very clunkily done. If you're going to do it, do it. If you're not going to do it, then don't do it. Find ways of doing things and putting them out there. Suits LA is kind of doing this right now, where sometimes Stephen Amell imagines his brother in like a flashback or as a ghost or whatever, and then like the brother can go like whole episodes without ever being there. So it's like this thing that, and then he just pops up, and then you're like, oh yeah, he has a brother that he sees as a ghost, or is this a flashback? You know, it's, it's like a thing that like really worked for the pilot, and now they don't know what to do with it. So Pulse is like, it has this thing where they're like, we need to have a Me Too movement. We need to talk about this. Okay, so talk about it and get it done and get it in the first episode. I think it would be far more effective if we knew what was going on, instead of like stretching it out and making that the thing. And then also we're like in the middle of a storm, right? And so we stretch that out, but not for the whole season. God forbid the whole season be about the hurricane. Is not. It never, some of the other shows too, they would switch to other actors. Like you get another episode and sure, you'd have your lead. So that's the thing, is that because they're stretching out these other storylines, they never have a chance to develop anyway. So like Jesse T. Usher is so underdeveloped in the show. I don't know why he's here. Like as A-Train, he seems like he has far more depth as a character who's not supposed to have depth. Here he plays, I don't know. Really, I couldn't tell you what his character's purpose in life is. So I think he gets offended because there was a character that got offended because Fitzgerald had told, Danny's, Fitzgerald's character, had told him that she doesn't date coworkers, and then surprise. So of course, he's playing the douche guy who, couldn't pick up on the fact that she just didn't want to date him. That was the reason. So, and well, she also expects them to still be friends. And it's like, yeah, you friend zoned him, but you gave him a bullshit response. So this is a tough series. If you liked Pulse, God love you. But I couldn't even finish it. I reviewed it with, I don't want to tell you, I got kind of close to the end, but towards the end, I was actually watching, if you use your Netflix app, you can speed modify. I couldn't even watch the shows at normal rate. I was like, I felt like I was close enough where I was invested, where I was like, I can get these last couple episodes out. So I just watched them faster. But then I was like, I can't do this. So I just gave up. I'm here. I'm done with Pulse. I'm deleting. I'm removing it from my watch list. Is it the worst show I've ever seen? No, but it is incredibly, deeply mediocre. And if Netflix gave it a second season, I'd be very disappointed, because they can use their budget more effectively on a show that has more creative juice and has an opportunity to go the distance a lot more than Pulse does. This is a show where all of the concepts seem to be given in the first season, and I don't even know where the second season would go. You know, when obviously they're going to resolve her sexual harassment claim. She can't constantly bemoan the fact that she's, that she hurt her sister. That can't be like the hook for the rest of the series. So what becomes are they going to have another hurricane? Like, what is, I don't know. And the supporting characters are just not, like, Justina could literally disappear from the show and I don't think anybody would notice. Like, if he just didn't come back for the second season, people would just be like, all right, whatever. Yeah. So the audio description is fine. I don't really remember a whole lot of in-depth audio description on anything really ever. It's all very surface level, but honestly, if this was on network TV, it would be very surface level anyway. So it's the kind of show that is very like dialogue heavy, and it moves at a pace, and it has to, throw in all the medical jargon and all of the interpersonal relationships. It's one of those shows. It's like everybody wants to be the next Grey's Anatomy. Nobody is. And this just fails at it. So one of these days we'll get the next Good Doctor in New Amsterdam, or something that actually runs for multiple seasons. I don't think it's going to be this. I don't think it's going to be Brilliant Minds. I don't think it's going to be Doc. I just don't think it's going to be any of these shows. I keep sort of reading more and more about The Pit, and I'm thinking maybe I need to give that show a second shot, because people are making me feel like I missed something with The Pit. So I may go back and try to see if The Pit was the show and I just missed it. It's just, there was something that I didn't think it was bad either. The Pit just also didn't immediately grab me. I'm going to give Pulse. God. I'm going to give it a C-. I think that's probably right for the show. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.